Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matt Diaz. I'm the Executive Officer with the State Board of Forestry and Fire Protection. I want to start off by saying I really appreciate the level of participation here today. The focus of today's event is to introduce the California Vegetation Management Program, EIR. And we have two individuals here that are going to be assisting me with this conference today. First of all will be Dr. Keith Gillis. He is the Chairman of the State Board of Forestry and Fire Protection. And he'll be followed by Tom Porter, the Director of CAL FIRE. So with that said, I'd like to introduce Dr. Gillis.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you all for coming. We think this is important news. The Board of Forestry and Fire Protection and CAL FIRE are initiating the preparation of a new program environmental impact report for the California Vegetation Treatment Program, or CAL VTP. This is really quite a timely action, but we have been working on it for a bit. We've been thinking we need to upgrade the program document for vegetation treatment program activities in the state for about 10 years. We've had a lot of public workshops to get input from people on this. We've been working on it for about a decade, and we feel the time is right to move forward. And in fact, the governor's executive order, B-5218, that Governor Brown signed, which is really pointing out the changing conditions in California and asking us to work on mechanisms to increase the pace and scale of vegetation treatment in the state. It's timely. We've all seen the motivations for this, but if you back off of just the immediate news, it's actually quite serious in a variety of ways. 10 of the 20th deadly wildfires in California history have occurred since 2003. 14 of the state's 20 most destructive fires, where we usually measure destruction in terms of infrastructure destroyed, have occurred since 2003. And 15 of the 20 largest wildfires since 2002. That's really pretty clear evidence that we're living in a changing climate. We're living in a society which is growing, where infrastructure is moving into wildlands, where fire is a natural ecological driver, and where the state needs to be prepared to deal with the situation. And we're not just talking about fire suppression here. We're talking about proactive attempts to say, what do we know about the science of managing wildlands, of protecting structures in wildland-urban interfaces? And I think that we've already done a lot of our homework to try and move forward with something which will be efficient in terms of getting the most out of program dollars that are spent on vegetation treatment programs, whether those are prescribed fire or fuel breaks or outreach. And I think the science grounding for that is really strong at this point. There's been a lot of research that's happened in the last 10, 20 years that it's time we incorporated into our programmatic activities. To turn to those programmatic activities, what actually happens on the ground, I'm going to turn over the podium to Tom Porter, the Director of CAL FIRE, since he's going to be the person leading the charge on actual activities on the ground.
Well, thank you, Chairman Gillis. I can't express how important this document is going to be to all of Californians and our management of California's forest and wildlands. We've been doing our project work under various CEQA compliant documentation and waiting over 10 years for this document to be developed that would allow us to get where we need to be related to increasing pace and scale, doubling the number of acres that we're able to treat on an annual basis, and really working toward reversing the really bad forest conditions that we have in our state. This set of initiatives that go along with the document itself that both Governor Brown and Governor Newsom have been working with us to push for forest resilience and for community resilience in the forested areas really require us to increase that work that we're doing in the wildland and urban interface, but also across the landscape and throughout the forests of California. This document is the foundation for ensuring that we're meeting the California Environmental Quality Act, that we're not damaging the precious resources of the state when we're undertaking these projects. And it's key to us being able to increase the number of acres that we're treating. Right now, on an annual basis, we treat across the landscape about 250,000 acres with all types of land management treatment that we do, both on private land, on state lands, and then those local responsibility areas. We need to increase that by double. This is the document that will allow us to do that. The other pieces of this that are important is it will help us to meet our carbon sequestration goals. The California Fire Plan and the California Carbon Plan require us to work toward reducing emissions and increasing the health of forests as part of doing that. This document will allow us to do that. Further, both Governor Brown and Governor Newsom have been working with us to put $1 billion worth of investment into work that will be done in the woods to increase the health, but also reduce the chances of catastrophic fire destroying our forests. That investment will be delivered through this program.